All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a really profound piece of Khmer philosophy that honestly completely shifts how we view our everyday lives. Now, we're not talking about financial wealth or stacking up material things today. Instead, we're focusing on the ultimate currency, our mindset. The goal of this explainer is to break down a short but incredibly impactful text that literally forces us to just pause, take a step back, and reevaluate our day-to-day reality.
So, be honest for a second. Do you ever feel like your life just isn't quite good enough? Because we all occasionally fall into the trap of complaining about our daily routines. Take a moment to really think about it. How many times just this week have you caught yourself sighing out of pure frustration? Maybe you felt a little pang of envy while scrolling through social media, or you're just exhausted by the daily grind. It's totally human nature, right? We look at what we have, we immediately normalize it, and then we just fixate on what's missing or what's annoying us. We're constantly chasing upgrades, and in the process, we're generating so much unnecessary mental friction.
Well, to counter all that friction, we're going to explore a beautifully written Khmer passage titled The Wealth of Perspective. We'll be translating its universal message into English to help reveal our own blind spots. And what I love about this source material is that it's deeply rooted in everyday reality. It doesn't ask us to just ignore our problems or pretend everything is perfectly fine. Instead, it systematically goes through 4 super relatable pillars of modern life: shelter, food, education, and work, and entirely flips the script on how we perceive them. As we go through these, try to keep your own routine in mind and see how this ancient wisdom applies to your life right now.
Okay, let's start with our homes. We frequently look around our apartments or houses and wish for, higher ceilings or just a bit more square footage. We think, man, I just need a little more space. But contrast that with a stark reality faced by so many others. The text reminds us that there are people out there who lack basic shelter entirely. When we fixate on our home not being big or tall enough, as the original text puts it, we become completely blind to the immense privilege of simply having a safe roof over our heads in the first place. It's the ultimate first-world problem, right? Complaining about the size of the roof keeping you dry while someone else is literally standing out in the rain.
And it's the exact same story with food. We've all experienced that weird culinary fatigue. You know the drill. You open a totally packed refrigerator, stare into it for a solid minute, and declare, there's absolutely nothing to eat, just because you aren't in the exact mood for what's in there. But the source material sharply contrasts this feeling of boredom with a pretty brutal reality. For a lot of people, eating isn't about craving, it's strictly about availability. Complaining about a simple or ordinary meal completely ignores the fact that millions are quite literally fighting for the chance to eat anything on a regular basis. That boring Tuesday night dinner you're dreading, that is a literal feast to someone who is starving. Now, if you're a student, or even if you just remember being one, you can definitely relate to this next point. Exams are brutally hard. Staying up late to study is exhausting, and the pressure to perform can feel absolutely crushing. It is undeniably stressful. But the wisdom in our source text flips this heavy burden right into a privilege. I mean, think about the alternative here, having absolutely no access to education at all. The sheer opportunity to learn, to wrestle with a difficult concept, and to grow your mind, that's a doorway that remains firmly locked for a massive number of people around the world. As overwhelming as it feels in the moment, your academic stress is, fundamentally, a luxury.
Finally, this exact same perspective extends straight into our careers. The text reminds us that the job you think is completely mind-numbingly boring is the exact same job someone else is desperately wishing they had the chance to do. You might wake up dreading your commute, dreading the endless emails, or feeling worn out by repetitive tasks. Yet, having employment, having a reliable way to generate income and take care of yourself is incredibly coveted. Someone out there struggling with long-term unemployment would trade places with you in a heartbeat. They would gladly take on your most tedious, annoying tasks just to have the security that your paycheck provides.
So, what does this all mean? Well, it brings us to the core mechanism of this mindset shift. The source material offers this powerful quote, "If you want to compare yourself to others, look at those who have less." Now, our culture constantly conditions us to look upward, right? We look at people with bigger houses, fancier meals, and flashier jobs. And that upward comparison, it just breeds misery and this relentless feeling of inadequacy. But the wisdom here doesn't say never compare, because let's be real, as humans, we're hardwired to do it. Instead, it just directs our gaze downward. When you actively look at those who have less, your perspective immediately clears up. It grounds you in reality and acts as a massive, powerful antidote to ungratefulness.
Because here's the truth. Perfection is an illusion that totally robs us of our present joy.
The translated text specifically notes that while your life might not be, quote, perfect in all 10 ways, it is still vastly superior to the reality of many people globally. Actually, when you do this downward comparison, you quickly realize that even if your life is, say, a 6 out of 10, it is drastically better than the lives of those who are just struggling to survive day to day. We're talking about people whose entire existence revolves around finding enough resources just to live to see tomorrow. When you reframe your imperfect life against the backdrop of basic human survival, your everyday frustrations suddenly feel a whole lot smaller, don't they?
Okay, let's boil the essence of this text down into a few core takeaways. First, just find joy in your current reality. Be happy with what you have. Second, and this is a really crucial point, the text explicitly tells us to keep working hard. This isn't some philosophy about complacency or just giving up on your goals. You should absolutely strive to improve. But you got to do it from a foundation of gratitude, not from a place of bitter lack. Third, utilize that downward comparison whenever you feel like you're losing your grounding. Look at those with less to realize your privilege. And lastly, actively cultivate true gratitude for the present moment. Recognizing your privilege really is the ultimate fuel for a meaningful, fulfilled life.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a challenge. I want you to look at your house, your food, your studies, and your work through this new, wealthy perspective. Ask yourself, what ordinary thing will you be grateful for today? Please click like, share my channel, and comment for more videos. Many thanks.